Hello? Is there any way of knowing if someone can hear me? Can you hear me? Whoever's joined in the conversation? Yes, Abu Bakr, I can see you. Okay, perfect. So do you want me to wait for 5 minutes for people to join in so I can just sort of start introducing myself? Okay, lovely. I hope not too loud. Muniba, can you confirm if I should wait or go right ahead introducing myself? Okay, lovely. I think I am loud enough and clear enough. I'm just waiting for somebody from Liberty, hopefully Muniba, to give me a go ahead. Yes, we're going to be talking about a lot of things, a lot of recommendations. I'm going to be doing, hopefully, a little later, a little bit of my poetry reading. And okay, I think let's just start with the introductions. Okay, so my name is Safina Danish Elahi. I am the author of this poetry book. It's called The Unbridled Romance of Love and Pain. This was you might have seen this cover at a bookshop or maybe on Instagram. I'm really active on Instagram. So this cover is the first edition, and this is the second edition, which is now in the market just after the lockdown. This is also the same name. It's got 4 additional poems. So yeah, I think you guys can see this. All right. So, apart from being an author, I am also a teacher. I'm an early learnings teacher. I teach at a preschool. I am also studying the law. I have, Alhamdulillah, I'm based in Karachi. I have 2 children. So, they keep me quite busy as well. I am also working on my novel with Liberty Books. This is the working cover that we have not finalized yet, but it's going to be out soon. I'm going to be promoting on the Liberty Books page, on my page, my Instagram page, which is Safina Danish Elahi on Instagram. And you can check out, both pages for any updates that there may be regarding my novel. It's called Eye on the Prize, and it's due to come out hopefully within the next few months. All right. Okay, yes. This is the first version, and if you want, I can put up both versions. This one is available right now. So I hope you were able to take a screenshot. Okay. All right. So I'm just going to go right ahead and talk about poetry a bit. I want to talk about publishing in Pakistan. I want to talk about writing in Pakistan, and hopefully then start with a few of my poems from my poetry book, so that you guys can enjoy them as well in case you haven't had a chance to pick up the book. So I've been writing for a really long time. I have written for travel magazines, for parenting blogs. I've done a couple of short stories, but I never really took it seriously enough to sort of go into publication. Also, I think, contrary to the popular belief, it's not an easy job. It's a lot of work, and I think just kind of compiling a book here in Pakistan is more difficult because we don't have many publishers here. So we need to reach out to either India or the UK or the US, and it's you need to go through a literary agent, and it's a long process, and it's not easy grabbing the attention of a literary agent or a publisher for that matter. We're lucky that Liberty Books has come into publishing and they are promoting local authors, because even when I was looking for my novel, I had somebody offer me from India. But as you know, there's a complete ban. Even before COVID-19 hit us, there was a ban on books, and it's difficult for local authors who have actually published in India to get their books here now that they've run out, or the copies have sold out. It's difficult because it depends on the contract that they have. So it doesn't cost you if your publisher is publishing the book, because that's when you get your royalties. And if you're self-publishing a book, then it depends on what publisher you've chosen and how many pages are there in your book. How do you plan to market your book? And it depends on a lot of factors. And trust me, it's not easy self-publishing either. I think that is also a misconception. People think that you can compile a couple of poems or compile a couple of short stories, and it's just easy to sort of just approach a publisher or even a printer and publish your product. And it's not like a normal product that you can just sort of do publicity on TV or whatever, because we have limited number of readership in Pakistan, and mostly it's difficult for an author to go out and sort of start publishing. Should I take some questions? Well done, Liberty Books. Yes, definitely. No, self-publishing is definitely an option, but I'm just saying that it's a lot of work that goes into self-publishing as well, because no platform is really promoting your book. So especially for novels, if you've written something that is substantially looking like a novel, I would suggest to get either an editor on board and have somebody read your copy, so they can tell you if it's got enough substance to be published, or to carry it forward. And so the topic of my book is usually it's mostly relationships. It's got a lot of familial relationships, romantic relationships, parental relations. So it's got a lot to do with love, pain, how one deals with insecurities, self-reflection. So a lot of topics I've tried to cover, and I've got short poems. So if I show you from the inside as well, they've got 3 lines, 5 lines, and it's called free verse poetry. So it's not necessarily rhyming, but it has to have obviously a ring to it. It's touching on some topics, so I've used minimal words and tried to portray what I'm feeling, or what anyone would be feeling given that particular point. Do you guys want me to start reading some poems, and then I can take some questions, as I can see quite a lot of activity going on. So I've been writing poetry for about, I think, 10 years now, but like people call themselves bathroom singers. I just call myself a home poet, because I think that not a lot of writers are ready to share their writing with public, because there's a lot of criticism on people shy away from publishing, I feel. Walaikum salam, Anira. Nice to see you here. Okay. So let's start with one recitation, and then if I see a question, and I'll try and kind of multitask and keep answering those questions as well. The poem I'm going to read right now is called Scars. So this poem I wrote because I felt that a lot of times we find to a lot of imperfections, associated to ourselves. It may be the way we look, it may be what we're wearing, it could be a scar that our face shows, or something that really bothers us about the way that we look. But many a times we notice that these imperfections are actually just us thinking about ourselves, and nobody else really pays so much attention to our imperfections as we do. So a lot of my poems are about self-reflection, and to kind of give yourself confidence, to believe in yourself. So let's just start with reading this one. It's called Scars. I had scars on my body I used to paint and hide, with colors of doom and hues of ill fortune, indelicately pouring, artificially covering, until I ran out of shade. My bucket empty, unprepared to reveal, I planned refuge, but the sun was out and work was to be done. I step out, unprotected, unmasked, waiting to be recognized as a monster unsightly. But no one paid heed to my displeasing demeanor, for I was merely a vision they had seen all too often. With all my flaws, I was only human. So I think I've tried to convey the point that as human, as being human, you are imperfect, and the more we try to change ourselves, or try to be perfect, it can't be achieved, because one of the aspects of being human is to be imperfect, and we need to start embracing ourselves as we are. Okay, I will read one now, which is one of my favorite poems. And this one's called Lesson. This I wrote for my son. So I have two children. I have a 10-year-old daughter and a 6-year-old son. And both have very different personalities. And I feel like my daughter is the bold one. And she usually, doesn't need anyone to protect her or talk on her behalf. And my son is the most sensitive sort. So he wants his discipline, and he wants things a certain way. And I feel like, as a mother, and I think there's this instinct comes with a lot of parents. A lot of parents think that they can protect their children and find the best of things for them. But sometimes we need to make sure that they're learning on their own as well, that they sort of pick up pieces themselves, and learn to accept failure and rejection, and sort of grow out of it. So this one is called Lesson. My heart cried every time you cried. I wanted to fix everything for you, my child, but I knew if I did today, you would never learn the struggle of repairing a broken heart. Thank you. So, how do I write poetry? My poetry is generally it's thoughts compiled into sort of a book. Whenever I do feel something, if I've read something, or if there's a certain feeling that I'm feeling, if I feel hurt, or if I feel sad, or if I feel grateful, I usually pen down that thought, and then I revisit it at night, and I try to sort of compile the words in a way that are most attractive and comprehensible to the reader. And even when I was working on my collection, I tried to compile it in a way where the reader sort of goes through a journey. I didn't sort of segregate it into sections of hurt and pain and love, but I did so in my own mind. I tried to compile it in a way that it forms a theme. Whenever whoever's bought my book, they've found a theme in it. It's relationships, and it could be any relationship. And every reader takes it to their own understanding. One reader would feel a certain way after reading one poem, and another would feel another way. So I think that's the beauty of poetry as well, that it's subjective. So my favorite poets and authors, I think I love reading much more than I like writing. So if I had all the time in the world, I would just be reading. You know, there'd be no TV in my house, there would be nothing else. I would just be reading. So I have a couple of books here. I knew I'd get a lot of questions on recommendations as well. So one of my favorite authors is Arundhati Roy, and this book is one of my favorite books. It's called The God of Small Things, and she is an excellent writer. Her prose is beautiful. And one other writer I really like is Leanne Mortney. Although this is not my favorite book from her, but she's also one of my favorite writers because her style of writing I really appreciate. Her books are very pacey. They're very well written. It's commercial fiction, and it's also the genre that I write. So I think I can resonate with her writing quite a lot, and she doesn't she doesn't let you get bored at all. When you pick up her book, I think I have read a few of her books in one go. You know, I've gone, like, I've pulled an all-nighter and read through an entire book in a day. So I think it's she's a fantastic writer. Another book that I recently read, I was traveling and I picked this up from the Portugal airport. It's called My Brilliant Friend. She's an Italian writer, Elena, and I really enjoyed this read as well. And I've got some Pakistani writers as well. These are 3 books that I really enjoyed. The first is A Case of Exploding Mangoes by Muhammad Hanif. Typically Tanya by Taha, and In the Company of Strangers by Awais. So I've got a lot of books. I hope you guys can sort of take a snapshot or something. Okay, this book also has a good story attached to it. It's by Murakami. He's a Japanese writer, and I picked up this book in literally, I think, from a lobby at a hotel, and I asked to borrow it, and I just liked it so much. I when I was returning it, the hotel receptionist actually told me to, if I wanted to keep it, I could. So yeah, it's mine now. I think the best kind of gifts are books. Don't you guys think so? Another book I really like is The Shadow of the Wind. This is one of my favorites as well. And whoever is interested in history and the history of religion, this is a fantastic book to read. It's called After the Prophet by Leslie Hazelton. And it talks about a theory by explaining the Shia side of Islam. So how about I do a couple of more readings and I can answer some of your questions after that. Okay, so this is a really short one, but I hope that I am able to sort of communicate what I'm trying to say with this poem. It goes, I don't fit you like a glove. I mold like dry clay. You can try and remodel me, but I will break. So it talks about, I've tried and spoken about 2 different images. When I talk about a glove, you can see how when you put your hand inside a glove, it takes shape of your hand exactly. Whether the glove is a little bit, bigger in size or, a little bit contracted. But dry clay cannot be remodeled, and if you stretch it too much and if you try to make it your own and you want it in a particular shape, it breaks down. So which is what happens with a person as well. When you are in a relationship and if you're asked to change too much, I think a person's spirit breaks down. And same is the case with a child. I've seen a lot of parents sort of put this mold on their children, and they want their children to come out and to behave in a certain way, but the child may have their own sort of personality. If you were academically strong, it doesn't mean that your child also has to be academically strong. If you were athletic, it doesn't mean your child has to be athletic. So, many a times what we do is we try and put these preconceived molds on people and we try to make them our own, and not realizing that another person is, they have their own personality, they've got their own talents, they've all got their own perfection and imperfection. So make sure that in your relationships you're not, sort of destroying anyone's spirit. And I think I've tried to say that in just so many words. I will try and read one of my other favorites. I like it so much because I feel like it is very apt for us Pakistanis. I've named this poem as Shade. I think growing up in Pakistan, all women out there, not all, but most women out there can relate to this. That a lot of people are very conscious about the shade of their skin. And we've seen advertisements in which color lightening cream can sort of make a proposal come to a girl's house. And I think it's ridiculous because that's what we're showing our generation, our younger generation, that this is what's important in life. While I think there is beauty in absolutely everything. So this poem is called Shade. The color of my skin may be darker than yours, but my heart pumps the same, bleeds the same, and beats the same rhythm as yours. So what you see, what's on the inside is actually the same, We're all made of the same, mud, and whatever the color of my skin is, whatever the color of your skin is, should not matter, As long as our hearts are clean and the way we deal with our relationships is pure, I do not think that one should pay so much attention to the color of one's skin. I want to talk about my upcoming novel a bit. It's called Eye on the Prize, and the genre is commercial fiction, and it's about the struggle of parenting. And it's a multi-character story in which there are three women who are trying to juggle many roles, and they are trying to make ends meet. They're trying to sort of not let their insecurities come in the way of raising their children. And just, I think, competition between parents and children, the whole, I think, point of this book is to sort of understand that competition also needs to be healthy. It's okay to compete. It's okay, there are very many competitions that take place all over the world. But we must understand that, competition between children and how parents take it can sort of have an adverse effect on the children's well-being as well. So we just need to sort of keep a balance in that. Okay. Should I do more readings, or do you have any questions? I'll try to find a good poem till then. Okay, I have these comments. Healthy competition is good. Okay. I think you've typed out what I was trying to say. Thank you for that. Okay. Okay, so this is about losing a child. I have, alhamdulillah, not have this feeling, but not like when I spoke about when I wrote this book as well. I spoke about some feelings that I have, tried to touch into, and even though those feelings aren't my own, I've tried to feel what other people may be feeling, if they were in that position. Yes, I do like Elif Shafak quite a bit. I recently read her 38 Minutes, I think the book is called. I keep forgetting titles, but I really enjoyed that book. So she is, one of my favorite writers as well. Okay, so this poem's called Unborn. I miss you in my bones, I miss you on my skin. I crave your touch, your softness as such. The emptiness of your cradle cracks my heart. You were a part of me much before you were you, and I was a part of you much before you left me. Okay, so this one is called Happy. If beauty lies in the eye of the beholder, why must I arch my eyebrows? Why must I file my nails and pluck my chin? If beauty lies in the eye of the beholder, why must my hair be glossy and my jawline chiseled? Why must my waist be contracted and chest inflated? If beauty lies in the eye of the beholder, why must my skin be as smooth as milk and no sign of stretch marks? If beauty lies in the eye of the beholder, why must I painstakingly shine, grate, gloss, floss, brighten, smoothen, elongate, polish, tone every part of my body to please this eye of the beholder? They say happy girls are the prettiest. So now, do I have to be happy or pretty? Yep. There's a poem that I really like. It's on, I think, the age of social media. I somehow cannot find it right now. Chale, I'll just read one that's on my daughter. How stunning is she, oh my! Her little nose scrunched, she lets out a sigh. She curls her toes with a sparkle in her eye. My heart, full of love, I sing her a lullaby. She smiles at me in my sleep. How stunning is she, oh my! Should we wrap it up for the day, or do you guys want any more poems? Okay. So, do you want to me to read the one that I was talking about social media? I think in the day of social media, a lot of things that people portray are not exactly 100% true, and somebody's life may seem absolutely beautiful on social media, but that's not always the case. So I think again we need to make sure that there is sort of a balance between the real life and what we're portraying in front of people. So this one's called Packaged. I saw her, deliciously wrapped, meticulously arranged, decoratively ribboned, scrumptiously garnished, painstakingly adorned, terribly unhappy. So, it just talks about the realities of life, that, you see so many people on social media, living the life and seemingly having no troubles. But you don't know what goes on in whose story. And I think that's why we do our writing as well. That, a lot of poems I've spoken about what people are feeling, what you may be feeling at a certain time, and I've tried to grab that feeling and communicate in few short words, so whenever the reader picks up my book, they are able to understand what I may be feeling when I wrote these. Okay, how about maybe one of the newer poems I've added some poems in the new edition. So this is my new edition for all of my viewers who have joined a bit late. This is available at the Liberty Bookstore, online bookstore, and in shops. Please try and order online. As you know, COVID-19, we need to be responsible and stay home as much as we can. You can still order through their website. I think it's called libertybooks.com. You can find it on the page as well. So I'm just going to be reading out one more from my new edition. And it goes, ask those who have lived their lives in pain, in suffering, who find happiness in laughter, in rain, in kindness, while you stare into nothingness, celebrating misery and angst, forgetting to look for joy in the ordinary. So please don't forget to enjoy the ordinary, don't forget to smile, don't forget to eat healthy, don't forget to practice gratitude, and just be thankful for all that we're blessed with. And I hope you guys had a good time with some of my modest poems and some of my recommendations. And you can leave in, I think, comments on this is going to be up on the page for a bit. And thank you, Liberty Books, for having me.